Listen to this episode if you want to turn good emails into great emails that build your conversions and your profits. Today, we are welcomed by Kieryn Wang, an email marketing specialist for product-based business owners. We dive into the psychology of email marketing headlines. We talk about the 4 essential email funnels that every business owner needs. We talk about her take on unsubscribes and some other hot takes that she has in the industry. And then by the end of the episode, we do a rapid fire questionnaire where she answers some of your most burning questions about email marketing. This is an absolute masterclass on what to do, what not to do, and how to think about email marketing. Without further ado, let's dive on in. What do you say to people that say that they don't want to be too salesy in emails?
Oh my gosh. I mean, first of all, if you're being too salesy, you're probably not doing it right. But there are so many ways to sell without sounding salesy. It's all about that. I think you mentioned this before, just nurturing, storytelling, delivering value. And yes, obviously when the holidays come around, we want to be a little more salesy. We want to tell people about what's going on if we're launching a product, but it should be, just like this podcast, a conversation with your friend, really, in your inbox.
Yeah. What would you deem as like a too salesy of an email? Or is it more of a frequency thing?
I think it's frequency as well as sort of the language that you use, right? The energy that you're giving off. There's this one brand, I won't name names, but I follow them and all they do is list their product and say, buy now.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of context. There's not a lot of how to incorporate it into your daily life for their customers, right? They just don't give a lot of information beyond here's our product, here's where you can buy it. And that just feels too salesy to me.
Yeah. Especially if there's nothing else mixed in there. If there's no other of the education or the value or anything like that. What do you feel like a good ratio is of some of these other kind of more nurture emails to a salesy email?
Ooh, I don't know if I've ever been asked that question before. That's a great one. I think maybe at the very least like a 2-to-1. So 2 nurture to 1 sales, right? Even that feels a little too frequent. I'm a little salesy averse because I think you can sell without just saying, oh, here's a sale or here's a launch or here's this product and you can buy it for X% off, right? You should be telling people a nice call to action. Here's what I want you to do. And that can be buying the product. That can be just getting people to the website really is the first hurdle.
Yeah. And that's really what the goal is of the emails, is getting people to your website. And then hopefully your website does some of the next stage of heavy lifting from there as well. When you're talking about there's ways to sell without selling, and I totally agree. This is why I talk heavily about nurturing in emails as well, is people buy often not because it's just like, here's the most beautiful mug you've ever seen, now go and buy it. They do it because they see it in your kitchen and how cozy it can be curled up next to a fire, or like, you know, you can't educate much on a mug, but like recipes that you can do for a mug and have it in there. What are some of the ways that you feel that people can sell without actually being salesy? You know, whenever I tell people you need to create nurture emails, the next question is like, well, what does that mean? What do I talk about?
Yeah. The very first place my mind goes is tell your story. You know it the best. So share a little bit about why you created this product, how you use it in your life, or how some family member of yours uses it. Why is it even in existence? People really want to know who it is that they're giving their money to and why. So that's kind of the first place I always recommend my clients, my students to start. And then from there is really just to continue storytelling and maybe share a customer's experience. Tell your potential customers what someone went through, what problems they were dealing with, and how your product solved those problems and how your product made their lives easier. Because then it gives those potential customers that you're nurturing a little bit more of an idea in their head about how they can incorporate it into their lives. You kind of want to give them a vision of, okay, this is your potential life. This is what it could potentially look like. And then, yeah, it's exactly what we're doing on social media. It's exactly what we're doing when we're meeting customers in person. We're really giving them just more information, not in a overwhelming, bombarding kind of way, but really just unfolding the layers and opening that storybook to help them feel a little bit better about making that purchase and hitting that buy button.
Yeah, yeah, you're so right. Especially now, I feel like the lines are definitely more blurred on social and email than they have been in a long time, where you can tell your story. You can talk about the mission behind your brand. You can talk about the purpose and, what really is that major message that you want people to know. I always say marketing is saying the same thing 1,000 times, just in a bunch of different ways. And that's really a lot of times what the email is. And I like how you said it's kind of like those layers that you're saying, okay, this is my major message. This is what everybody needs to know. Now let's talk about why I started. Oh, how can it integrate into your life? What is the best way to use it? What are the common mistakes? And you can actually uncover so much that you don't know. The person reading it might be like, oh, that was the final question that I needed answered for me to really be excited about this purchase.
Yeah. And the more you can just continue answering questions, the more likely you'll get to the question that gets them to really convert.
Yeah, because there is this overlap right now on social and emails, and I know my answer. I'm interested to hear yours. Why do you think people should care about emails on top of social media? If they're like, I'm posting on social every day, why should I really have to care about emails?
Yeah, I think social, email, and your website, at the very least, those three, they should all be speaking to each other. They should all be sort of feeding into each other. I always say you want to create this digital ecosystem, this brand ecosystem that you kind of want to keep people in. Apple does a really great job of this. Everything's insular. Everything is in their own systems. It's really hard to work, not really hard, but a little bit more difficult, a lot more convenient to work within the system. And so just by that example, and just speaking to, I think a point you made in one of your previous episodes of social media is a little bit more of that top of funnel. It's where people find you. It's where they discover you. You create a really great piece of content and a lot of people see it and share it, and that's great. Get new eyes, you get new audience. And email is kind of that like middle bottom funnel nurturing where you're taking these people that have expressed an interest in you, that have given you their email, that have said, I consent to receiving more information.
Yeah.
And you give them that more information. And just like we said earlier, keep answering those questions one by one until they get to the, okay, this is what I wanted to know. This made the sale for me.
Yeah.
And then you continue to nurture them to repeat purchase, to become brand champions, loyal customers that keep coming back again and again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I agree. And social media really is that top middle. And then emails can kind of be your middle bottom of funnel where it is like this symbiotic relationship between them all that we need more touch points throughout the buying cycle in order to get people to buy. It's just how it kind of works. And so when we have these emails that are adding in those kind of final touch points of like, here's the FAQ, here's, the lifestyle you can live, more of those kind of bottom of funnel things too, is it has really high conversions and profits there as well. One of these things that we're talking about is, there's different types of emails. There's the funnels, there's the broadcasts. In your email marketing strategy, where do you really feel the differences from funnels and broadcasts? Are they thought of similarly? And what are your thoughts on the two?
Yeah, well, funnels are kind of essential. I mean, both are essential, but funnels, I really like to start there with a lot of my clients because once you set it up, it's dripping on the back end and you hopefully don't need to think too much about it. Maybe go in once a year, refresh it, that kind of thing. Make sure that the information isn't outdated or anything like that. But funnels are really set up to help you make money while you're sleeping, help you make money when you can't actively be in front of your computer creating a broadcast email or creating a sales campaign. And so, I think it's essential in the fact that it's kind of that foundation. And then the broadcast emails are where you get to, I hesitate to say play because you can play with your funnels as well, but you get to have a little more fun. It gets to be a little more current. And it's a way to really just continue that conversation with your potential customers and your existing customers to keep them in that ecosystem, getting your messaging, keeping them warm, and really helping them reduce on their uncertainty. That's kind of really what we're doing at the end of the day is slowly reducing uncertainty until they're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to give you my money.
Yeah. So if that is kind of in the funnel side of things, if that's where you start, it's where I start too, because it's in such these like transitional moments that people need support. They're joining your email list, they need this support, or, they abandon their cart, they need this support in order to cinch the cart and cinch the sale. With your funnels, I guess coming from a welcome sequence, I know you have have kind of like a signature welcome sequence. What does that welcome sequence look like? And what do you feel like are the essential pieces that people need in that stage?
Yeah. So with most of the brands that I work with, I really like a lead magnet. And for those that don't know what a lead magnet is, it's essentially something that you create that either helps your customer solve a problem, helps them save some time, helps them see a different perspective that they might not have before. So any of those things, or all three. And that can be a guide. It can be a quiz. It can be something to help them get a little more information about your product and about how the product can help them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the first thing is I don't really love a discount because I know a lot of, especially product-based brands, they like to, maybe give a little 15 or 10% off, and it just eats into your bottom line. And ultimately, I don't think it serves you. So I'm a big proponent of a lead magnet over a discount as that first email. You deliver that first email because that's what they gave you their email for. And then giving them that information about, okay, here's what my product will do for you. Here is a potential situation, maybe a common situation that a lot of people experience. And this is what my product does in those situations and how it helps you with your life, make it easier, save you time, whatever it may be. And then giving people social proof, testimonials, sharing a customer's very real lived experience. And then, continuing to just share a little bit more about who you are, who they're giving their money to. But it shouldn't be all about you. It should actually be all about them, all about who they are, what they're going through, and how you want to help them, and really positioning everything that way.
How many emails do you usually say are in an average welcome funnel?
In an average welcome funnel, oh my gosh. I mean, it's all over the place when it comes to certain, audiences, certain brands and industries. I like to say at the bare minimum, do a three email sequence, welcome sequence. And then on average, I've seen anywhere from 5 to 7, 7 to 10, that kind of thing. I know some brands do like a 22 email welcome sequence, and I'm like, I don't know how necessary that is. 5 to 7 is kind of the sweet spot for me because that's like a week of nurturing. Then it's really just up to you in terms of cadence and how much you want to broadcast. You just don't want to be doing too much, and you also don't want to be doing too little.
Of course it does change. My audience knows this. I say it all the time. It's like business growth is nuanced for your industry, for your product, for whatever. Your advice has to be nuanced as well. But it is good to get averages sometimes. And why I'm asking this is because I get asked all the time similar questions, and people often feel, well, aren't people going to be annoyed? If I send them 7 emails in a week, don't you feel like people are going to be annoyed and just want to get off of the email list right away? And I guess what's your answer? What's your take on that?
Well, my take is going to be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but mine is if someone unsubscribes from your list, say goodbye, release them, and thank them for seeing themselves out. Because someone who's going to unsubscribe for whatever reason based off of just your welcome sequence might not end up being the person that's going to convert, might not end up being the person that's going to give you their money. They might not be the right customer for you. And in that case, if you see a lot of people unsubscribing during the welcome sequence, either adjust the welcome sequence and or adjust the lead magnet because you're attracting the wrong people. So really, again, testing. You mentioned it before. I'm going to say it again so people really hopefully listen, is that you can test all of these things and adjust based on what you're seeing, your audience's performance, and just making sure that you're delivering what they want, because what you think they want might not be what they actually want.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, testing is everything here, but you're right. Like there's different markers of, okay, if you have a ton of unsubscribes, it could be the people you're calling in. It could be the lead magnet you have. It could be the funnel is actually, if it's too salesy, we oftentimes see if your welcome funnel is just another picture of your product and say, hey, like go and buy this. Hey, here's what we're all about. Go and buy it. Again, it should be about them. It should be nurturing. It should be something that they almost feel like they're being educated and supported and informed that they do want to stick around, because people signed up for your email list for a reason. So if they're leaving right away, there's a reason that they're also leaving right away. One of my favorite funnels is an abandoned cart funnel, because I think you can have a lot of fun with them, as well as, again, they're at such a key point in the buying cycle that they really can be profitable. How do you leverage abandoned cart funnels?
I kind of like to keep it simple. I think when you try to force too much content, try to force a long flow, a long funnel, then people can kind of tell, right? Like they can kind of tell that energy. And I don't know if this is the right word, but like it's almost an energy of desperation. Like, please, you left your cart, like make the purchase. And I kind of like to keep it simple that way, where it's just a nice, simple reminder, a simple second reminder, and maybe a third that gives you a little bit more context about the product or how other customers have appreciated it, why they like it, how you can incorporate it, all of those things. And I think I'd be curious, like you say you like to have fun with it. And I'm like, maybe I should be having more fun with it. I think I'm going a little too like, here.
What we see with abandoned cart funnels, they can be seen as kind of invasive, especially in the world that we live in. People don't love the idea that we're being watched all the time with all of our actions. They don't actually understand, unless you're in the marketing world. I'm fully well aware that they know what I ate for breakfast at this point. Like, it is just is what it is. But I understand that the average person can get a little bit of a stiff arm up to it when they're like, why were you tracking me shopping? And like, here's my card and all of that. And so one of the things that we really like to do is almost disarm, depending on your brand. If you're a luxury brand, this doesn't always work, but disarming with almost like a little bit of personality and humor in your emails, because the abandoned cart can feel invasive. And so you can kind of almost play into it, again, depending on your brand and your voice and all of that. You can play into it a little bit. I have clients that have their subject lines is like, did we just break up? Or, wow, you have such great taste, or whatever that might be. But I also have some brands that are luxury and, a couple $1,000 item. It kind of depends on the brand of how you do that, but you still can put a little bit of a personality touch into it. Having that brand voice into it, in my opinion, for an abandoned cart makes such a big difference, because you're just disarming that like immediate kind of like, ooh, like, I don't know, why are you watching my actions on your website? But it's such a great way in that time to also be like, hey, if you have these questions, let me know. Even in abandoned cart, something that I really love to do is having them say, if you have a question, just click reply to this email and let me know your thoughts, because it shows that personal warmth. It says, hey, if you have like a glaring question that's making you worried about this, especially in the wellness world, or if they have like tools or whatever it might be that they're selling that has maybe some small little questions at the end, ingredients or whatever. We really love that with abandoned carts, because I think they're so fun. I mean, that these people were shopping. They were so close to checking out. So if you can get them, call them in all these little transitional moments, it makes such a big difference. With those two that we talked about the welcome, we talked about the abandoned cart. Are there any other funnels that you recommend that people set up right away?
Right away, I would say definitely get that post-purchase funnel going, so that you're following up with them after they've made the purchase, which is a huge deal. The conversion is very important. So we want to continue nurturing them and really continuing getting those testimonials, getting that information, that feedback, so that you can not only continue to improve your product, but also use that as content, right? And I also, maybe not right away if you don't have energy just yet, but I do like a good win back funnel. Yeah, just to follow up if they haven't purchased in a while.
Yeah, let's talk about a win back funnel. You don't want to be too pestery, but like, again, they showed interest, but they didn't actually purchase. What is your framework or kind of like recipe for a win back funnel?
A win back funnel, I usually like to follow up maybe minimum 60 days, maximum 90 days. I don't want to wait too long, like a year or anything like that, because then they'll totally have forgotten by then. A lot of platforms like Klaviyo, that's my favorite platform, but a lot of them out there have the ability, and maybe this is going back to how scary it is, how much the internet and everything can track what you're doing. Yeah. But helping create like a dynamic email that helps create some product recommendations based off of what they've looked at, based off of what they've purchased before, so that it's tailored to every single person and their habits and their desires and what it is that they're interested in when it comes to your product line. That's kind of where I like to start. And then from there, I'm going to be a broken record, but just sharing more. What are your favorite products? What are your customers' favorite products? What is it about those things? How can they continue to round out? Maybe they bought just a face cream and you want to help them totally build out their entire skincare sequence, from your toner to your serum to your sunscreen, whatever it is that you have in your product line, and help them get to that next purchase and hopefully that recurring purchase.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess for anybody that's listening, usually a win back funnel is somebody that showed interest and then they kind of went ghost for a couple of months or 60 to 90 days, I would say. And you're kind of trying to reactivate. Sometimes people call them like a re-nurture sequence as well, and getting them kind of back active either on your site or kind of trying to like, okay, they thought about it. Maybe they've watched you on social now maybe they're ready. And so you kind of bring them through another funnel there. Hey, I've been getting some DMs that you may not know what I do outside of hosting this podcast. I actually work with product-based business owners every single day to help them grow and scale their brand. If you really want my eyes one-on-one inside of your business to look at your strategy, to look at your funnels, to look at your data, and to develop your next campaign or bring your business or your idea to life, that is exactly what I do every single day. I've worked with 500 plus businesses across 70 different industries to help them become the next household name in their industry. If you are craving a business brain, a strategic advisor, a data-centered, obsessed person to come into your business and help you bring your idea to life, I'm your gal. Come on over to my Instagram at This Is Madison page, DM me support. Otherwise, you can click the link in the show notes to apply today. Okay, back to the episode. When you're really looking at these funnels, what metrics are you looking at to really see the health of them? And how often do you really check your metrics of your funnels? Because they're kind of just out there and working.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a numbers person, and I know not everybody who listens is a numbers person. Gal. I love a good analytics overview. But what I will say is they should inform, they should not be end all be all, and they shouldn't hopefully scare you, because your open rate and your click rate, of course, are going to be informative of a lot of things, but a lot of things affect open rates. It can be when you send, it can be your subject line, but it can also be someone saw your email and then they had to hop on a call, or someone knocked on their door and they just completely forgot to open it. And then it got buried under, a million more emails. So there are a lot of different reasons why someone won't open or someone won't click that really might not have anything to do with the quality of the email that you're sending out. So just remember that, first of all. And also just remember that it's more about seeing the patterns. If you're seeing drastically different numbers, definitely evaluate what's going on there. But if you're seeing pretty consistent numbers that aren't incredibly low, like a 5% open rate and a 0.2% click rate or whatever it is, don't be too alarmed. I do have a lot of students in my membership. They look at their numbers and they get freaked out because they're like, oh, it's not 5% in clicks and 20% in opens. And that's kind of sort of the overall the industry's relative average. So I hesitate to say that it's going to apply to everybody. But I'm like, not everybody's going to have a 50% open rate. Not everybody's going to have a 20% click rate. It also depends on your list size, how you're utilizing. That's why I love Unsubscribe so much, because it actually culls your list in a way that just makes it more aligned, more people who are aligned with your message, more people who are aligned with what you're doing. And when it comes to frequency, I kind of like to check as I go. So with every newsletter that goes out, whether it's a broadcast newsletter or more sales focused, I like to, within the first 2 weeks or so, just check in. And I don't like to do it right away, obviously, because some people take a little while to open. And so give them a little time, but check and see how those trends are looking. If there's one email that got really high opens, really high clicks, look at what you're doing there and try to continue to replicate that. As for funnels, I like to do sort of maybe a monthly check. If that feels like too much, maybe quarterly, at the very least once a year. Yeah. Look through at the end of the year. I have a whole end of the year checklist for everyone that I just say, okay, here's what you need to be doing, checking your funnels, checking your analytics, just getting a temperature on what's going on. Because if you ignore it, you're actually missing out on a lot of great opportunity. And that's kind of why I created the tracker that I created, which I will give as a free gift for all of your listeners. I really want people to be informed more than to be scared or more than to be saying, oh, this is a decision maker, this kind of email doesn't work well, because it is really just pattern recognition and seeing what's working and what's not.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the wonder of data, is that it really does inform and it tells you what it is. And I think in data in general, you have to take the emotions out of it. You have to be able to look at your data with a curious mind as opposed to like a critical one. Because when I look at my data, and if my data tanks on something, I'm not like, wow, I'm an awful person and nobody ever wants to work with me ever again. My mindset goes, why did that one work that much worse than the rest? What about that one was weird? Was there a holiday? Were the kids off of school so nobody was on their emails? Or was it something about my subject line? Was it something about, some of these other pieces? Kind of talking on the line of subject lines, because I know that that's a really hot topic in email marketing. Do you have any formulas or ideas or thoughts on subject lines? And, how do you really make a captivating subject line? Or do you feel like they don't matter as much as people really put the weight on them?
I think they do matter, but I also think they've changed a lot since I first started doing email marketing. It was all a lot more like title case, a lot more exclamatory, I feel like. And now it's a lot more conversational. It's more sentence case where it's the first word or whatever it is capitalized and the rest of it is lowercase and you have some punctuation. It's basically just a nice sentence that you kind of want to get from a friend. If your friend sends you an enticing email subject line, you're like, ooh, what's going on here? Let me open this up and see. Obviously, please don't be deceptive, right? What was that brand? Like Base? Yeah, Base. Yeah. When they sent that like fraud alert or whatever, and it freaked people out. Yeah. That's not what we're trying to go for. We're not going for clickbaity.
Not to mention it's illegal.
Yeah, exactly. Not even that part. I just think you don't want to give your customers that kind of feeling of scared, panicked.
Lack of trust. Yeah.
Exactly. It really deteriorates any kind of trust that you might have already built. But you do want it to be enticing enough, like, here's a little gossip for you or whatever it is, right?
Yes. We're going more on the T side than we really need on the like, okay, we're about to really scare you here. We really want it to be intriguing. We want it to be something that you're not closing the loop on, that they still want to, let me learn a little bit more in there. I totally agree. So with everything that we've talked about, does anything change when it comes to luxury brands versus kind of like day-to-day brands? So, within their industry, they are, let's say, 3 to 4 times above what kind of the average cost is. They're a little bit more on the luxury side, or they're just like a high investment piece within a purchase, I guess. Is there anything that changes on emails when it comes to more of a luxury brand versus your everyday day-to-day e-com?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think with the day-to-day, everyday, you kind of get to have more fun. You get to play around a little more. You kind of get to be a little more cheeky and a little more goofy if that's the vibe that you're going for. With luxury, I personally am like, they all should be more playful. They all should be more fun.
Yeah.
But I get it. I totally get it. Luxury brands have kind of old notions about how things should be done. But I do think that you can deliver value and you can deliver all that information in a really more elevated way. I don't think the strategy changes as much as the messaging and the positioning a little bit more.
Okay, that makes sense. So if people are listening and they have some of these things set up, they are sending emails, but they might be more of like just a checkbox of them getting it done within their month, and they're already making some sales. What's the difference between a good email strategy and like a great email strategy?
Listening to your customers. That's always been my biggest thing, is people asking, what do I share? What do I put in my newsletter? What do I create content for? If you really don't know, just ask. just ask your customers what would be helpful for them, what you can deliver. I mean, you're not going to say, hey, what can I show you that would get you to buy my product or anything like that? But asking them what it is that they're looking for and maybe creating a survey or something like that. Those are great ways to just get an idea of a good strategy. But I also think the people who aren't seeing as much, look, first of all, if you're sending out monthly emails, just pat yourself on the back because there are plenty of people who have built a newsletter list that just let them sit in purgatory and don't do anything with them for months or years or whatever it is. So kudos to you for even just sending emails out. But I also do think you should be looking at those analytics. You should be looking at what it is that your customers are really interested in. If there's a certain blog post or a video, a tutorial that is getting a lot of clicks or is getting a lot of attention, that's something that you should be sharing with your customers in your newsletter, with your customers on social. Again, we need to be seeing messages a million times these days before we're like, oh, yeah. Okay, now it's clicking. Now it's clicking because our attention span is so short and there's so much content out there. So yeah, seeing it 7 times is no longer the rule. It's like seeing it 65 times or something like that.
Yeah.
I really do think that there's just a lot of ways to hone your strategy by listening, by paying attention. Because if you're not paying attention, that's kind of where you see the numbers start to drag. That's where you see the conversions not really converting.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point that you do listen to your customer, because some of my clients, their storytelling, longer form emails perform really, really well. If they're text heavy and they look like they're coming from the founder, they perform really well. And then some of my other clients, it's like photo heavy, really beautiful, maybe a little bit of educational emails. Those are the ones that convert really well. So again, going back to data is you kind of have to cast a wide net in the beginning, test them all, see how they perform. And then you can kind of start to hone your strategy. And over time, based on what's working to actually get you some good data to your website, to your conversions and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, 2 brands can have the same exact product virtually and similar target audiences, and their audiences are going to want completely different things from them. So just to your point, try it first before you count it out.
Yeah. Kieryn, so we talked about emails, like more broadcast. We talked about welcome sequences, abandoned cart, retargeting, bunch of different things. We've talked about subject lines. You've given us a lot of really good information kind of across the board with emails. If there was one thing that you wish you could like scream from the mountaintops that we haven't covered, it could be a hot take, or it could just be something that you are really strong in your stance on with email marketing, what would that be?
I mean, we already talked about how I feel about unsubscribes. That was going to be my answer. I'm like, unsubscribes are a good thing. But my answer of what we haven't covered before is a lot of people say, oh, you have to be doing weekly emails. You have to be doing multiple times a week, whatever it is. My take is do what you know you can be consistent about. If you know you can be consistent about once a month, that's okay. But like, don't try to start doing biweekly or weekly emails and then burn out and drop off and then just completely ignore your email list for 6 months. Do what you know you can be consistent about. And if you think you can increase, if you think you can ramp up, slowly and surely do that. But if you know that it's going to be fun for a month or 2, and then after that, you're like, oh, I don't like this anymore, then give yourself permission to send less emails. That's okay.
Yeah, that's really good. Kieryn, I have a couple of like fast action email questions for you. I haven't done this before and I think it's going to be kind of fun. I feel free, answer them in like, I don't know, a sentence, 3 to 5 words, something like that, but quick and snappy. If you only had to choose one, funnels or broadcasts?
Funnels.
How often do you send an email broadcast?
At least once a month. Ideally more than that, but at least once.
Photo heavy or text heavy emails?
Ooh, oh my God. Photo. I don't know. I like a balance.
That's okay. You can say a balance.
A balance.
Favorite email subject lines?
Questions.
Cool.
I love a good question.
Yeah. Personality versus professional emails?
Personality, always.
Thoughts on emails written by AI?
Oh, no. Gross. Boo. Boo, boo, boo.
Monthly structured newsletters? Yes or no?
If that's the only way you're going to be consistent, sure. But not ideal.
Biggest email pet peeve?
hard to find unsubscribes or hard to unsubscribe. I hate when brands do that. And it's also technically pretty illegal.
Yeah, totally. I've emailed companies before and been like, hi, I've been trying to unsubscribe and it's actually illegal to not let me do this.
I have one brand that I keep trying to unsubscribe and they keep resubscribing me. And I'm like, this is illegal. What are you doing?
Oh, it drives me crazy. I'm like a hound with my email lists too. Like I have to, like I like unsubscribe all the time. So I'm one of the people that like, if I'm unsubscribing, it's for a reason. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Kieryn, this has been so helpful. This was such a masterclass in emails, how to get started, how to improve, and how to make sure that we can turn good to great. Where can people find you? What do you do? And we'll put everything down below as well.
Yeah, you can find me on my website and my handle. It's almost with 2 L's, ITSALLMOST. I also have a really wonderful monthly membership where you come, you learn, I help you implement. I'm there to hold your hand. So definitely please come join the Conversion Club. And please just message me if you ever have any questions, if you ever need any hot takes. I'm happy to share.
Awesome. And we're going to put a free tracker down below as well that you guys can go and get that. Kieryn, thank you so much. And it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Growth Podcast. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So if you love this one, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a conversation. If you want more conversations with me and other business owners, make sure that you join our completely free podcast community, the Founders Cafe. The link is in the show notes. You can get bonus resources, access to free coaching calls, as well as connect with like-minded business owners like yourself. Make sure that you rate and review the podcast 5 stars, share it with a friend to keep those conversations moving, and come back every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you there.